Hello ladies and gents, welcome back to Kaostv's live coverage of the EUS Challenge Series number 3. We do have the second best of 3 here coming over from the quarterfinals. It's going to be ESC facing off against British Tea Time. I'm Medis and I'm actually joined for the very first time by Stress. How are you doing, dude?
I'm doing good today. Looking forward to casting some of the EUS Challenger series. I jumped on for about a game and a half a couple of weeks ago to help Spuddington out when his internet dropped in the first week. But this is the first time I'm going to be casting a full best of 3 here in the EUS Challenger series, and I could not be more excited.
Awesome. So I have to apologise right off the bat, ladies and gents. We are watching this stream right now because we have 2 streamers in the spectator slots, and I haven't the greatest of internet. So if I start lagging or I am kind of calling things after they've happened on your screen, I apologise in advance. It looks like we're going to have Elise, Diana, and Kazakhstan right from the get-go. Pretty standard bans overall, Stress.
Yeah, and especially with the team British Tea Time, we saw them last week in the tournament. Elise is a very targeted band towards not only JNT Taylor, but they also have played Elise support a couple of times, if I'm not mistaken, but definitely Taylor has played Elise a lot. Diana is a targeted band as well against Yerostar, because he's played Diana a lot in the mid lane. So again, on the other side, Kazakh, Zach and Zed, very, very standard bands. All 6 of these bands, you know, pretty much bands that you'll see in most levels of competition.
Yeah, definitely. And Zach's actually been played throughout these tournaments that we've hosted so far, 3 of them. Seen him time and time again played in the jungle or at top lane. So definitely a nice band there coming out from British Tea Time. And going to be quite interesting to see what they go ahead and start picking up. Looks like the Twisted Fate pick up straight away there. And that's just pretty much global presence from the mid lane. Going to be, once he hits 6, Destiny's going to be coming out, ganks all over the map.
Yeah, and it pretty much forces the hand of British Tea Time here, because when you let Twisted Fate through as a first pick, you pretty much have to not give away any more global pressure from there. They pretty much have now forced British Tea Time into picking Shen, because we saw at LCS this past week that giving away both Shen and Twisted Fate generally doesn't go too well when you do it, because there's just so much pressure around the map very, very quickly that it's very difficult to deal with. So you can see ChewdUp has picked Shen up, and that'll be going over to most likely GH Nitrix, because that Volibear is a champion that I would expect to stay on JNT Taylor in the jungle.
Yeah, absolutely. It could potentially have a Nautilus up here. Again, we have seen Nautilus featuring multiple times in the tournament. Very, very gank heavy. It's a declaration of intent. I'm going to gank time and time and time again, put loads and loads of pressure down. And of course, alongside the Twisted Fate, who has the gold card available to him if he lands it, it's very, very powerful ganking phase there. So wouldn't be surprised if it's locked in. But I was going to ask you, after the Volibear got a few nerfs, and as I say that, I just see that they may be switching over to Renekton in the meantime with the Nautilus pickup as well. But what are your thoughts of Volibear? Because he did receive somewhat of a nerf early game. He doesn't quite have the same speed on his Rolling Thunder. Do you think that hampers his ability as a jungler, or is he just pretty much still very strong?
I think it's a little bit dependent on how you play the champion. I know, for instance, a couple of the NA junglers have said that taking Flash perhaps isn't the best on Volibear, because to get that Rolling Thunder and the extra speed, you actually have to be within a close enough proximity to have it proc, which means that taking Ghost can be somewhat more effective in time. So there's kind of a little bit about Volibear, whether he's still as viable, but I think it is very dependent on the person playing Volibear, if I must be honest. Over on the side for ESC, we can see they've picked up Nautilus, who's seen a bit of a resurgence in the jungle ever since he's had a couple of little tweaks. He has a lot of damage when he has that shield on, and really that just makes him a very formidable jungler for catching people out. It looks like British Tea Time have picked up Varus and Sona. Of course, it is indeed, sorry, earlier I made a slight mistake. It's Cook My Sock in the mid lane for British Tea Time and Yerostar as support. I've casted these guys enough. I should know that off the top of my head, but that looks like that is their bot lane partnership here, and it looks like in the counter to that, ESC are going to pick up Ezreal and potentially even Zyra. It does look like it's about to go through, and yes, we're on the final pick now for British Tea Time.
So pretty interesting lanes here at the moment. Ezreal and Zyra facing off against Varus and Sona. And I have to throw the question to you, Strets. Which of those 2 bot lanes, if of course they do go bot lane, they may switch it up here, but which of those 2 bot lanes would you expect to do better and kind of come out on top? Because there's a lot of CC on both sides. At level 6, British Tea Time's duo bot lane is going to be extremely scary with the Crescendo and Chain of Corruption. But then again, Ezreal's so maneuverable that it's going to be quite difficult to land both of them on him consecutively.
Yeah, and there's also going to be a lot of poke in lane, which is why I'm starting to think maybe we're going to see the 2v1 lanes as opposed to the 2v2 lanes. I mean, otherwise this is just going to be pretty much both teams chipping each other down in that bottom lane until somebody finally manages to, land one of the snares or enough CC that you were talking about. I kind of favor any poke lane that has Sona, mainly because you do get the sustain off the heal. But again, it's one of those kind of dependent things on if you can get all your abilities off on the right targets, you can pretty much be formidable with both styles of poke lane. If they do manage to get a snare with the roots from Zyra, that's obviously going to be a big moment to engage for ESC. So I think that lane is kind of a little bit more dependent on, as you said, the CC in this case. And it looks like our final pickup is Ahri going into that middle lane on Cook My Sock. And Cook My Sock's played Ahri quite a bit, and we'll see exactly how that matches up against Twisted Fate. Of course, he's going to be able to disrupt that Destiny by using the charm. So if he can get those charms right, then everything will be all good for British Tea Time.
Yeah, indeed. And of course, Cut My Sock is a very, very accomplished Ahri player. Seeing him playing her before in a tournament did a great job. Important to note as well, ladies and gents, this is actually a revenge match for British Tea Time. Last time around, these two met in the previous tournament, which was Challenger Series number 2 in the semi-finals. ESC actually knocked out British Tea Time, so they are looking to kind of one them up this time around. So let's see if they can make that a possibility. So let's have a quick look overall on the two comps in question. For ESC, you can have Ezreal, Renekton, Zyra, Twisted Fate, and finally Nautilus. And on British Tea Time, it's going to be Volibear, Varus, Sona, Shen, and Ahri. First impressions here, Stress. Who do you think has got the upper hand on comp alone?
I think a lot of it's going to be dependent on that mid lane and how Twisted Fate's ganks come off. But that's something that we're going to have to see as this game rolls on. I do believe that we're going to be going to a very short break before we head into game. So please stick with us here on Kaostv for the EUS Challenger Series. Welcome back to the EU West Challenger Series, hosted by Kaostv. I am Dignitas Stress. I am joined by Metas, and we're heading into game number 1 between what is sure to be a great series between ESC Gaming and British Tea Time. And we're just about to load into game, and this is sure to be a good one.
Yeah, definitely, fully agree. ESC, an extremely strong team, got through to the finals, got pipped to the post by Peculiar Gaming last time around. So incredibly strong. And of course, British Tea Time got through to the semi-finals. They've taken the scalps of many good teams on the way to their path to glory. And this should be an extremely interesting one. As I said before the break, this is a revenge match. This is a grudge match here, with British Tea Time actually saying, great, this is a chance for revenge. So definitely one to watch out for. And interestingly enough, Stress, the last time I was casting ESC, I put D-Man down as my most valuable player because he was so strong in mid throughout the entire night. He had a great Kha'Zix, great Twisted Fate, great Kale, and definitely one to watch out for here in mid.
Yeah, definitely one to watch out for. And as we were talking, Twisted Fate's a little bit of a tricky one with exactly how he plays out in the game. We've seen some Twisted Fates have a lot of impact on the game, such as Messiah, and a lot of OGN players play that Twisted Fate. Others maybe not quite the effect that you would really expect a Twisted Fate to have, but something a little bit strange to what we normally would see is Twisted Fate's actually taken teleport, which is a little bit unusual. Because normally with that Destiny Gate combo, you can be pretty mobile around the map, but this means he's going to be able to either get back into lane, or if his Destiny gets disrupted, he can then follow up with the teleport. Cook My Sock, on the other hand, has taken teleport as well, so there's going to be a lot of mobility around the map in this game, so we'll try our best to keep on top of all of the action.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, of course, as you mentioned in the champion select, they also have Shen on British Tea Time. So again, if Twisted Fate is pinging around the map, expect to see that Standy Knight propping up towards the bot lane or perhaps mid. Teleport is also used on MYM. Meet Your Makers use this a lot with Twisted Fate. It gives him massive maneuverability. When his Destiny's down, doesn't really matter a great deal. He can split push like a boss. So definitely one to watch out for, like you said. And this is honestly going to be an awesome game. Unfortunately, we have got a pause, as you can see. Apparently, D-Man is getting serious lag issues. So hopefully that will be resolved shortly, and I'll be able to crack on into this game. I'm just having a quick look-see on the map, and Ezreal seems to be going bot lane. I'm only saying that because he's covering there at the moment with Varus at top, so perhaps the early indications may be that we are going to have a switch up here.
Yeah, I mean, as I was kind of suggesting, it felt like the way they picked into that with that Ezreal and Zyra, they were kind of expecting the lane swap anyway. They didn't go for kind of a hyper-aggressive bottom lane partnership, and it's just something that we've seen a lot from the red side teams, is they'll pick in a fairly safe duo, and a duo lane that can push a lot. Normally you'll see your Varus and your Caitlyn are in your lane swaps just because they have the ability to push through the wave just so quickly. You'll also see them tend to pick up double golems as well for that experience boost, and that's a lot of how you end up taking control in that lane. And I think Renekton's not the best at 2v1s, but there are certainly worse champions out there as well. He's got quite a considerable health pool, has himself a rejuvenation bead and some health potions as well. Of course, that recent change to health potions mean he's not able to start with the 9 that he would like to. He has been restricted to 5.
Yeah, definitely. We do have a reconnect coming in from D-Man. British Tea Time saying they need about 10 seconds, so fingers crossed we'll be ready to go live soon. Just having a quick look-see at the items being picked up, as you were just mentioning before. Twisted Fate's gone boots and pots, which is quite interesting. Obviously, maneuverability with his gold card and such is key alongside the Nautilus. Apart from that, nothing to really write home about right now. So we do have Koi saying go, and so far, yeah, there we go. So we are going to have an unpaused rest, and we're going to be cracking on into game number 1 out of a potential 3.
Yeah, and we saw the last game go to 3, and when you get to the end of those third games, sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to hold your nerve if you, haven't played all that many best of 3s, and perhaps that was what we saw just at the end of our last series. But this is 2 completely different teams, so we'll see how their mettle holds up in this series. And as you said, British Tea Time, this is a revenge match for them. They want to get their own back on ESC. And you can see everybody's, having a good time spamming their taunts and laughs already in this game. So at least the players, even though they were in a pause, they're still in high spirits.
Yeah, definitely. Baz, just to remind you, dude, you may need to skip to live after the pause. Sometimes you get that weird buff, as I do as well. But yeah, it looks like we are going to have the switches coming around with the AD and support a duo for ESC going down to bot lane with British Tea Times going top. So that's going to be Renekton versus Varus and Sona, and Zyra and Ezreal facing off against Shen. Who do you think that favors overall? Who's going to be happy here, Renekton or Shen?
I kind of prefer Shen in some respects in the 2v1 lane. I mean, Shen's got the problem of when he uses his ultimate in a 1v1 situation, he leaves his tower vulnerable. In a 2v1 lane, that's not exactly a problem because his tower is very vulnerable anyway, and the fact of the matter is he has Vorpal Blade and also Feint. Nice charm lands onto D-Man in the mid lane, lands a lot of damage already and forces him to chug a couple of health potions. Of course, that flask start on Cook My Sock is going to mean he's going to be able to out-sustain Demon just a little bit, but there's a lot of activity over at the blue buff for British Tea Time as we see an invade already coming out of Caruso and Ryman Simon.
They do have a ward down there, so they can see JNT Taylor lurking around. Is he going to smite it? No, he won't, actually. Caruso's going to pick that one up. Now I'm going to try and turn on towards JNT Taylor. The Ignite goes down. Can they pick this one up? It's going to try and take away that passive from JNT Taylor, who's forced to flash away. Nautilus in hot pursuit with the red buff as well. This could turn horribly in reverse, though. Ryman Simon will go down from the Ari there. And now they're going to be going back on towards Cook My Sock. D-Man is going to be very, very low as well. Charm does land. D-Man flashing away. In the meantime, Caruso will be picking up that kill. So all hell breaks loose, and it turns out being a 1-for-1 exchange. Yeah,
they exchange 1-for-1 there. And actually ends up 2-for-1 as Nitrix gets taken down there in the jungle still. So that leaves the bot tower a little bit vulnerable, but meanwhile up in the top you can see top tower is already down to half health. So that distraction has meant that neither jungler has really been able to focus on top lane, and means that Nautilus wasn't able to be there on the defensive, and that might end up costing ESC just a little bit if that tower ends up falling before they're able to take the bottom tower for British Tea Time.
Yeah, so Cook My Sock did get the first blood, then went down. I was actually quite surprised that Shen ended up dying there, as Renekton will be jumping in to put some pain down towards Varus. They are just chunking this tower down, though, without too many problems. The creeps have just worn out, and they will be having to pull back. Meantime, in mid, though, Volibear, JNT Taylor is lurking around. Of course, he did lose his blue buff beforehand, so it's going to hurt him just a tiny bit. Is he going to go in for the gank? Here we go. He's going to be popping in right now. D-Man does not have his flash up, so this is basically, should be a free kill. Charm goes down from Cook My Sock, and that is going to be the kill picked up blatantly from Ari.
Yeah, and Shoot Up has had to use barrier up in that top lane, exhaust down onto Renekton, and Shoot Up and Yarostar, you know, even though Shoot Up got taken down quite low there and forced that summoner spell, they're still going very well in this top lane. I mean, that 2v2, the 2-for-1 trade in the bottom jungle for British Tea Time looked like it didn't work out in their favor, but Flash being down meant that Demon has dropped another kill. They've got Koi really low up in this top lane, and they're about to take top tower as well. So, in fact, it's ended up coming out in the lead for British Tea Time.
Absolutely. In mid lane, you're going to have Nautilus jumping onto Cook My Sock. The blue card actually comes out for D-Man there. So a slight mishap with the gold card. Would have been killed. In fact, it's a kill regardless. So I'll hold my tongue saying, oh, the blue card may have thrown away the kill. Not to be the case. And as you rightfully said before, British Tea Time continuing to push down this top lane. They do not seem to give a damn.
Yeah, and back and forth action already. We were kind of expecting the action to start around about level 6, where you'd have the Stand United and the Destiny, but it started right from the off, and these guys are definitely trading blow for blow here. Blue card was locked, so Taylor kind of feels alright about just walking that wave slowly back towards that mid tower.
Definitely. So Taylor is just chilling out in mid. Meantime, at bot lane, let's have a look at how the tower's looking. Not even to half just yet. So British Tea Time looking very, very strong. The question is, are they going to go towards bot lane with their duo, or are they going to perhaps go mid? Varus looking like he's actually going to go back to top. So they're not going to be coming down to bot lane, feeling that Nitrix is doing a perfectly fine job as it stands. And yeah, we've reached a bit of a lull in the action here, Stress, so we can take a quick breather. It has been all-out aggression from the very first second.
Yeah, and I don't think it's going to be for much longer. We're already on just about the peak of Demon hitting level 6 when he gets back to lane. A couple more minions and he should be should have that Destiny available. Nitrix is doing a good job already of holding that tower. He's held it to half health, even though there was all of that action down in the bottom lane, and he did in fact go down. I mean, Ezreal was alone after all of that action, then he's caught back up in CS with Varus. They're pretty much trading equally, but Nitrix, using that faint shield to his advantage, is able to kind of soak up a lot of that damage and stay in lane.
Yeah, continuing to farm. How is the CS looking between Shen and Renekton? Renekton does have a slight edge. Meanwhile, in the Dragon Pit, you can actually see ESC trying to attempt this one. Volibear's coming round, and we do have the second pause from Koi. Apparently a DC. Not sure who's been disconnected here. Looks like it's Ryman Simon, and he has reconnected. In fact, 2 players went there, and Ryman Simon is still disconnected. So it's kind of unfortunate stress. Couple of pauses already, but one hell of a game.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it's been about 15 minutes, but it's only 7 so far, so that gives you an idea of how active these teams are on the map. And you know, a disconnect's not always great when 2 of the people disconnecting are still fighting Dragon in the pit, so the pause has come out, and that's why. But this is a very early Dragon call as well, considering I don't believe they've seen Taylor on the top side of the map anytime recently. No real wards out for ESC as well, so this kind of feels like a risky call, if I'm honest. I guess they're kind of preempting Volibear to be at his red, considering that's where he would have started. And it's due up in about 15 to 20 seconds, depending on when it actually went down. But we are unpaused here, so they're not really expecting Volibear to be around here. No wards for British Tea Time, but Taylor is going to spot that this Dragon is underway. Here comes Cook My Sock as well. Hook does land onto Taylor. Very nice dredge line. Here comes a True Shot Barrage. It's going to clip through Cook My Sock. Nitrix takes a gold card. It's 4v3 here. They have to be a bit careful. Cook My Sock burns the ultimate, picks up the kill onto Ryman Simon. Mystic Shot hits on towards Cook My Sock. They're looking for whatever they can. Nice charm. Taylor is going to try and put as much damage down, but look at the damage from D-Man there. Takes down JNT Taylor. Nitrix and Cook My Sock left to duel against Demon and Brokey. Nice Orb of Deception over the wall. GH Nitrix trying to get that dash away. Can he get it before another card locks? Charm is going to land Demon, not quite pulling him into the tower, but that is enough for Demon and Brokey to turn around there. No one takes down the Dragon, but it means that British Tea Time do stop that attempt.
Indeed, and that was a 2-for-1 exchange. As you say, Drake did not fall, so it's worked out to be a kill a minute thus far. That gives you an idea of how frantic the action has been. D-Man currently 2-for-1. Ari 3-for-2 with Cook My Sock taking the reins there. And I think one of the reasons why they decided to try the Drake there is because they knew that Varus and Sonus were still top lane. So they felt, okay, the AD carry and support with Crescendo and Chain of Corruption aren't going to be available here. But JNT Taylor, right place at the right time, Spidey senses were tingling, did manage to stop the Drakes, and well played by him.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I think they were kind of expecting Volley to be at his red because he did take that first, and now they're trying the Dragon again. I mean, I know Nautilus has a lot of damage, but it's gone down quite slowly. Taylor, they do have a ward in there. It doesn't look like ESC are too aware of that ward. It's in that spot. Here comes the teleport out. I think, it's Cook My Sock from the teleport. D-Man is going to use the Destiny Gate. Here comes the Stand United as well. Here's the action we were expecting. Nice Shadow Dash. He's going to hold Brokey in place. Can they put the damage down onto him? Taylor is dropped very low. Demon goes on to a killing spree. Another brilliant charm from Cook My Sock, but he's so low because there's an Ezreal standing between him and his target. There's the flash and the Mystic Shot. In fact, I believe that was actually, it was a flash, sorry. It looked like the animation from Arcane Shift, but nice flash into a Mystic Shot. Picks up that kill for Brokey.
That team fight was just basically, in fact, hold that thought for a second. At top lane, we do have another skirmish kicking off here. So many red players flashing up. Chewed Up has managed to pick up the kill. Can he get the double onto Twisted Fate? Yes, he can. And neither of them go down. In fact, it was Sona, Eurostar, that picked that one up, if I get my words out properly. And that has brought it back to a 6-6 with just the tower standing in between. Here we go. Shen is going to engage on towards Ryman Simon alongside JNT Taylor. But Shen is going to get completely crushed from Brokey and Nautilus. So just a flurry of action. And again, players falling left, right, and center.
And the teleport was used by Twisted Fate. We only caught the tail end of it, I believe, but Demon used that teleport up into that top lane, and you know, they thought they had the advantage over Yarostar and chewed up, but brilliant plays out of Yarostar. Used the exhaust, used the crescendo, even had to flash in there as well. Chain corruption looks like it was used, as you said, in the champion select. So much CC as he could myself actually might pick up a kill onto Caruso himself. He's going to burn that third charge of the ultimate, but that leaves him a little bit vulnerable here running from D-Man. Is he going to lock the yellow card? Actually lets him get in towards the bush. He uses the Foxfire, but it looks like Cook My Sock is not long for this world. A brilliant charm. That, I think, is the fourth one I've counted in this game. And the Foxfire in the Orb of Deception is going to pick up that kill for Cook My Sock. Massive plays, and that's what I was talking about Cook My Sock playing Ahri so well.
Well, meanwhile, at bot lane, Brokey is going to get away. Arcane shifting through the wall. And as you say, yeah, Cook My Sock is just a ridiculously strong Ahri player. We've seen it time and time again, charms landing all over the place. 5 for 3 so far after 11 minutes. Wow. It's just unbelievable how many kills we've had in such a short period of time, Stress. And as you said before, it feels like it's much later into the game as a result of that.
Yeah, and really the only difference between these two teams is that top tower being down. They've done British Tea Time have done a good job of stemming the aggression from ESC. They haven't been able to get in front of a tower properly, aside from dropping bot tower by about half of its health, but Nitrix did a great job, and now they've swapped Chewed Up and Yarostar down into that bottom lane. You can see Koi and Nitrix in the top lane are just trading back and forth as Caruso has come down into that bottom lane. Takes quite a lot of damage out of Sona. That's a fair amount of damage for a support. Here comes the True Shot Barrage. Isn't quite going to get Yarostar. There was actually a kill onto D-Man in the mid lane, and Chewed Up and Yarostar look like they're going to get out of this one okay.
They're going to be chasing on to Caruso now with the Grasping Roots coming in as well. Caruso is going to be going down any second now. There we go. And in the meantime, Cook My Sock, who's now on 6 for 3 with that kill on D-Man in mid, is going to be going rampant with the Spirit Rush. Coming through again. Stranglethorns go down. Another charm lands. Crescendo barely missing there. Had it have landed, Brokey would have been a very dead Ezreal. Can he survive? Beautiful Q comes out from Ahri, picks up the kill, and will be pulling himself back. Meanwhile, J&T Taylor alongside Chewed Up pick up the Drake. So beautiful control from British Tea Time, and they have managed to pull themselves just over 3k gold ahead.
Yeah, fantastic Orb of Deception. Realised I hadn't quite jumped to live on the broadcast there, so might have been a second or two behind on that little play down in the bottom, but apologies for that. I'll make sure I'm caught up on the next time. Nitrix desperately trying to hold his tower from the aggression from Koyan. Renekton's just one of those champions that is so difficult to get out of lane. He pretty much is the top lane bully, and you can see that Nitrix, even with that faint shield, is already down to just about 2/3 of his health, whereas Koi has not even lost 100. You can see he's going to stun him in place and just get away without even taking a turret shot. Slice and dice back in towards Nitrix, and Nitrix doesn't really want any of that and is going to recall out.
So just having a quick look around the map, Chewed Up is about 30 or more CS ahead of Ezreal right now. So looking very strong with the kill and 2 assists, plus the Drake, of course, that GNT Taylor on Volibear picked up before. So that's going to bring itself into... Let's have a quick look at the goal difference overall. It is about 400 gold in advantage to Varus as it stands. So looking very nice for him. And of course, globally 3.1k. Let's have a quick look at the top lane. TNT Taylor pushing into the tower, into the bush I should say, is actually going to be rolling Thundering on towards Koi. Doesn't have anyone around him, but the Stand United is up from Shen. They could use it if they so choose. Not going to happen, and pull himself back to farming creeps.
Yeah, Taylor knows he's going to take quite a lot of damage just playing around here with Koi, but it's bought enough time for Nitrix to get into lane. British Tea Time had tried to hold it off for as long as possible, but that turret down in the bottom lane has finally fallen, which means that gap, that gold gap has closed just a little bit for ESC. Still, British Tea Time in the lead by 2,500 gold, and you can see that Yarostar has started to roam a lot more. Does have himself an Oracle's Elixir, so trying to shut down as much of the map vision early on as they can, and they actually just pass over that ward. I didn't think Yarostar was quite going to spot that, but Cook My Sock had his back there.
Now we did have a mini engage there from Nitrix at top lane on towards Koi. Landed the taunt. GNT Taylor came thundering out there on Volibear even. That would be quite strange, a Volibear charging out. Yeah, I guess that would maybe Sejuani. But Koi did manage to get away with Slice and Dice and lives to fight for another day. Meanwhile in mid, Cook My Sock has harassed and pressured enough to let the creeps take that one down. So 2-1 towers overall. Going to be picking up blue buff as well and looking very commanding. In the meantime, Varus looks to be building towards the Blade of the Ruined King, has all the components, just needs to finish off the recipe, has over 1.3k gold, so once he goes back to spawn, he will be picking that one up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and he has a very significant lead, 30 CS already over Ezreal, and Ezreal needs to get back to farming. He may have a kill. Destiny has been used down in this bottom lane. Gold card is going to land. True Shot Barrage actually just didn't quite hit it. The teleports have come out with the stand United. Brokey is running for his life. Demon already dropped by Cook My Sock, flashed over the wall from Brokey. The Q isn't quite going to land. It was actually an arcane shift. Ezreal has so much mobility. He's able to get away. Nice orb of deception there again, and I'm finding myself saying that so much. Cook My Sock is just on point with his abilities as Ari here.
Yeah, he's on fire. 9 for 3. Needlessly large reward, and the blasting one could be going for Rabadon's death cap if he so chooses. So keep an eye out for that one. Meanwhile, low, has to be said, British Tea Time are bossing the map. Coming down here, Caruso gets charmed once again. Surprise, surprise. The taunt just missing, however, from Nitrix. The depth charge, in fact, sorry, the dredge line flying out, but doesn't quite land. And Chewed Up will be picking that one down. Meanwhile, they're going to continue pushing down the bot lane and pick up this second tier tower, looking extremely punishing right now for ESC, who are miles behind on towers, global presence, and also gold. There's a 5k difference, which after 16 minutes is a big chunk of change.
Yeah, and British Tea Time will take that engage any day of the year. I mean, they just took an inner tower, and they've got 4 towers down now. ESC Gaming only have 2. They didn't lose all that much in that engagement either. In fact, I don't believe they lost anyone. I'm going to go out on a limb and say, yeah, I think, yeah, they didn't drop anyone in that engagement, did they? They just took that lower tower.
Yeah, they didn't lose anybody, and they picked up, what was it, 2 or 3 kills overall, so it was a really nice trade for them. Important to note as well that players, and Kaostv says time and time again, the bot lane is so important for global presence, because if you do manage to take down the bottom inhibitor, it leaves Baron very much more open for the opposition team, because of course your enemy is having to cover the bot lane to make sure that the super minions don't push down the Nexus towers, allowing you to just go ahead on the opposite side of the map and to pick up Baron. So that could be one to watch out for as well. Rabadon's death cap and also the Fiendish Codex have been picked up for Ari here, so could be going for the Deathfire Grasp, which would just be extra nuke and extra tear factor and terror factor as well for ESC.
Yeah, and if you take a look at the map vision, I'm not sure whether our production can hear us quite as well as I'm hoping, but the top side of the map is actually dark for ESC right now. They have no wards, they have no vision, and that is a very dangerous place to be against a team like British Tea Time. J&T Taylor is not a jungler that is scared to make a Baron call when it just feels right. It may not seem like the smartest move for anybody that, you know, is watching, but he just has this sixth sense about when to do a Baron, and they can easily sneak it with the amount of damage they've got now. Blade of the Ruined King is going to chew through Baron so very quickly, so just going to make sure that, you know, they're keeping on track of that. And it's so difficult, though, with that Oracle's Elixir has been on the Aerostar for so long in this game.
Yeah, definitely. So another pause. I've just skipped back to live again, so I don't forget, because it has happened a couple times and it's a nightmare. So yeah, I am live again, and we are going to have the Chewed Up and Yarrow start combo going to bot lane. As we said before, Varus is looking very strong right now, still 30 CS, so he has maintained that lead. Drake is back up, and looks as though British Tea Time may be thinking about picking this one up themselves. Shen is top lane, but does have the Stand United available, and they are going to try and clear out these wards. In fact, they don't have any means to do that. They don't have a pink ward or an Oracle, so that ward is going to stand up from ESC on Drake. Meanwhile, Shen is pushing that second tier tower down at top, and this is going to allow them to just try and take down Drake as soon as possible. Another charm lands. Here comes Ari. Look at that burst damage, and Brokey gets completely decimated. Koi's going to be trying to jump on towards Ari now. Maybe not the smartest idea, because Ari's extremely strong. Crescendo whiffs purely on the basis that he flashes through the wall. Chain of Corruption beautifully lands, but here comes the Stranglethorns to try and counteract this engage. I don't think they have enough damage, though. Ari's still around from the side. This is a 5 versus 4 situation. Koi, the tankiest member on their team, is going to get completely flatlined, and now they're going to be pushing the mid lane. British Tea Time have got this very much in their favour.
Yeah, and there's something very, very interesting that's happening while that team fight. Nice dredge line onto Chewed Up. Chewed Up drop. Very low yellow card is going to land onto Yarrow Star. Charm not quite landing. Here comes the Stand United out of Shen. True Shot Barrage not quite enough to take him down. Yarrow Star just passing in between the wild cards. And look at how low most of the members of British Tea Time are. But being low is not enough to get the kills. You've got to follow up on them as Nitrix is desperately trying to get away from Brokey. Charm was a little bit preemptive from Cook My Sock. The first one really that he's ended up not quite landing in this map. Destiny has been used as well. Are they going to be able to pick this up? But D-Man is quite low himself. I would not want to see him tower dive in behind here. Something interesting that was happening during that team fight, actually, as you can see, Demon almost gets dropped here. Yarostar trying to trade with Brokey. Yarostar is actually going to go down for that, and Demon may end up getting out of here unless Cook My Sock can catch on towards him. Don't go that way, Demon! Cook My Sock with the dash over the wall is enough. Lands the charm and is enough to get out of there, and at some point I'll end up finishing this sentence, but Cook My Sock just managing to dodge a Mystic shot as well. Something very interesting happened during that team fight. It's the first time I've ever seen a Shen and Twisted Fate run from top lane to a fight in bottom lane because they both have ways of disrupting each other's teleport. Both of them ran from top lane.
Indeed, I didn't actually notice that, but that would have been incredibly interesting because it's not something you'd ordinarily see, is it? You know, you'd have the teleport, the Standing Light coming out, or the Destiny, but none of that actually happened. And actually, you see a surrender vote failed for the blue team of ESC, which is quite strange. Because if they're all on TS, I mean, surely they would agree or disagree to surrender there and then. They wouldn't need to call it. So perhaps that gives you an indication that the communication's not too great right now, and maybe some of those heads are going down somewhat.
Yeah, dissension in the ranks is never a good thing in the middle of a game, especially when you're only in game one, but we'll see how ESC can bounce back. That's what is really the moniker of a good team, is how they can deal with being behind and how they can get back into it. I mean, these guys, as we said, played last week, I believe, if I'm not all that mistaken, and British Tea Time are looking very strong right now, but there's still room for ESC to come back in this game. It's certainly not over, but as I say, that Demon catches... Cook My Sock catches Demon out in the jungle in the bottom lane. The dredge line from Caruso is enough to take him out of there, but Taylor is looking for anything that he can in the jungle. There's the arcane shift out. Brokey forced to use the Blade of the Rune King as well. Taylor trying to get on, but taking quite a lot of damage there. Hail of Arrows is enough to make Brokey turn around.
Oh, very, very nearly Chain of Corruption landing there, about a pixel or two off of Brokey's backside. So, had that have landed, it would have been a very, very dead Ezreal. Either way, if Twisted Fate being down for another 6 seconds, they're going to try and take this opportunity to push mid. True Shot Barrage comes out to clear the creep wave, allowing them to keep this mid tower alive just a bit longer. But in fact, as I'm saying that, Ari, surprise, surprise, gets another catch. Could be going down though from Twisted Fate, who uses a Destiny, and that will be a very dead Cook My Sock. But still, 20-10 overall, 6k gold lead, and they're starting Baron.
Yeah, but that was a big, big shutdown. This is what I mean by J&T Taylor not being afraid to make a Baron call. It looks like ESC are catching on to this, so they don't really end up sticking around, but that was a big bounty that Demon just picked up. Ari is 14-4-4 and had 500 gold that they've just given to Demon. Demon has his Lich Bane finished already, has the Twin Shadows as well, already working towards the Zhonya's, is, you know, a couple of hundred off that Seeker's arm guard, so there's going to be a point where this split pushing out of British Tea Time from Ari, from Shen, is going to start getting counteracted because everywhere they go, Twisted Fate is going to start coming back in towards this game. His damage is going to increase, and they're going to be able to deal with it a lot more. So British Tea Time needs to start taking a few more global objectives, but they're doing a great job. They have 5 towers down to only 3 from ESC.
And they also need to make sure they don't make the same mistake that AT Gaming did last time around, where they pushed down towers extremely fast, were winning in the first 20 to 25 minutes, but then took their foot off the gas and allowed the opposition to basically just free farm, to just farm, allow Cogmore in that sense to actually get up. This time around, of course, it's going to be Ezreal, but Ezreal is also an extremely strong AD carry, and when you put him along the likes of the Twisted Fate and such, can be very, very deadly. So it's important here that British Tea Time continue to force the envelope, boss ESC around, and don't allow them to bring themselves back into this game, because we saw what happened last time around. They managed to bring it back and actually punish AT Gaming for just basically not closing it out when they could have.
Yeah, and there's a little bit of a different build out of Ezreal. We've seen pretty much 3 or 4 different types of builds from Ezreal. There's that flat damage build, which was, you know, popular pretty much for the entirety of Ezreal, apart from in Season 1, where he had a couple of little tricky other things on his kit. But we've also seen the rise of the all-blue build, which people like Cutie Pie and Wild Turtle have done over in North American LCS. Blade of the Ruined King isn't a first buy I've seen all that much on Ezreal recently. I mean, a lot of Ezreal's utility comes from the fact that his Mystic Shots will proc on hit effects, so you can buy items like Iceborne Gauntlet as your second or third item, and that gives you a little bit of a different role to flat damage. And Ezreal is kind of going for that more damage role, which is a little bit surprising, considering they have, you know, a fair amount of damage that's going to come out from Twisted Fate, from Renekton as well. So we'll see what his next buy is going to be, but I definitely would like to see an Iceborne Gauntlet, and I couldn't even quite transition over to saying that Ryman Simon had to be careful, and look at how quickly Dragon dies as well.
Oh my dear lord. I kind of feel very sorry for Ryman Simon right now, because in the blink of an eye, his life was lost. And Cook My Sock will move to 15 for 4. Did pick up the Deathfire Grasp, as I was mentioning before, and the Seeker's Arm Guard. So, going to be looking to push through mid, just to pick up on a point that you mentioned before with the Blade of the Ruined King on Ezreal. In fact, all that thought for a second, we may see an engage kicking off here. Koi jumps in, goes back instantly though, doesn't want to be trying to go along a very, very fed Ahri and a very strong Varus too, with the Infinity Edge and the Blade of the Ruined King. I think one of the reasons for that pickup is that whenever Volibear starts to charge towards Ezreal or a Shen taunt comes in, he can actually slow them down to basically stop himself from being tossed over Volley's back or taunted from Shen. It could just be another get out of jail for free card that Ezreal will possess in his back pocket. And also additionally on top of that, Blade of the Ruined King of course will take a percentage of the target's health, and if you have a look at Volibear's health, pretty stacked. Look at Shen, also pretty stacked. So it does make sense, but he's not going to be doing the kind of damage that Varus is right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's good against this health stacking that is coming out of Shen and Volibear, as you said. But if it is also for that active ability, that's a little bit strange, considering Ezreal has, Arcane Shift and Flash already. And that kind of tells me that Ezreal's very scared right now. He knows he's down on CS. He knows that even though he's got 2 extra kills, there is a 15-4 and 4 Ahri. And if they even catch a whiff of that Ezreal or somebody important like Ezreal, like Twisted Fate in these team fights, they are going to get deleted faster than they can even get away.
Yeah, definitely. And it's imperative for Twisted Fate, for D-Man here, that he does finish off the Zhonya's Hourglass. Because, of course, if he gets charmed or taunted from Shen, it's going to allow him to be around just a bit longer, maybe land that gold card when he comes out. I'm going to skip to live once again, because we have just came out of the pause screen. So here we go. We do actually have Sona and Volibear recalling. The Baron, of course, is still up. And this is a really tense game. I mean, even though it's a 21 for 10 scoreline, which looks incredibly one-sided, and the gold is about 6 or so K in advantage of British Tea Time, it's important to note that ESC are not dead and buried yet. They haven't lost this game. They still have all their inhibs. If they can get that perfect engage, they can definitely bring themselves back into this game.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw over the weekend at LCS that, even when you can be up to about 15k gold behind, you can still draw a game to a point where gold stops really mattering. I mean, when you get up to the high end of the game and you can see Demon gets the taunt from Nitrix. The last time they had this trade, Demon came off significantly worse, and it looks like that's somewhat happening again. And the rest of British Tea Time are moving around in the middle lane. But if you can see ESC take this to a point where gold doesn't really matter anymore and pretty much drag it out to that 40-minute mark, it's really then just down to the team fights. It doesn't particularly matter the gold difference, as items start to matter a little bit less. It's more about positioning in that late game.
Very true, and we saw that last game as well, where AT Gaming took their foot off the accelerator, allowed the opposition to basically build up a few items and claw their way back to actually win the game. And if British Tea Time don't start to force the envelope and push the envelope, they could find themselves in a very similar situation. We do have Shen split pushing at bot lane. Stand United is up. and rearing to go. Twisted Fate is going to meet up with him, but Twisted Fate can't really hope to take down Shen at this point. He is so tanky, it's unbelievable. Has the Merc Treads, of course, which is going to be nice against TF's gold card and damage, alongside the Negatron Cloak. So Ari just popping in an Orb of Deception, trying to see what she if she gets any bites, or can actually reel in the fish that has been Boki so far in this game. But that mid tower, important to note, only has 390 HP remaining. It will not last long. And you definitely don't want to be looking around Fed, Ari, and Varus and the tower falls.
Yeah, and when that tower falls, that's kind of a signal for British Tea Time that they then have complete map dominance, really. I mean, they're very... they have their foot stamped on the map already, but really with that last inner tower falling in that middle lane, it's even more dangerous to be out in the jungle. You have nowhere to retreat to. And it's so difficult to contest a Baron or a Dragon when a team is so on top of the wards. I mean, looking at the map, there's only one ward for ESC, and that's on their own blue, which they haven't even been able to claim because of how much pressure British Tea Time are exerting right now.
Yeah, we have somewhat of a stalemate right now, with both teams just kind of dancing backwards and forwards, waiting for the inevitable mid-push to come. J&T Taylor thought for a second was going to go balls to the wall, but not going to be the case just for now. Again, just teetering around the edge here. And that tower is still alive and kicking. Aegis of the Legion on Volleybet alongside a Locket of the Iron Solaris, so he's going to be pretty tanky. Top lane is pushing from ESC, but shouldn't be too dangerous from British Tea Time's perspective. And along all of this action, Shen is continuously pushing the bot lane. So this is going to draw TF out. This could be the moment where British Tea Time strike.
Yeah, crescendo does go on, and they catch on towards Brokey. Here comes the ultimate from Zyra. Cook My Sock actually caught in the middle for the first time. He's going to drop very quickly. Demon actually picked that up. Yarostar just manages to avoid the true shot barrage. McCoy is caught out and manages to get on towards Yarostar. Dredge line was enough to protect him from chewed up as he nearly got caught there. And that actually didn't quite go as well as British Tea Time would have hoped. Here comes the Stand United. Looked like it was on towards Taylor, who was on the retreat. Chewed up trying to catch on towards Demon. Did get that piercing arrow, but that didn't go as British Tea Time would have liked it to. They lost 2 there. They dropped a couple of members of ESC low, but this is a time for ESC to get some wards on the map.
Yeah, absolutely. They did manage to pick up the tower, though, which is going to be somewhat of a consolation prize. But as you say, I think they're expecting to get at least 3 or 4 players down from the opposition. And to be fair to them, ESC were flashing up red all over the place. Pretty much everybody on their team was blinking there. So Brokey, as you said before, maybe going to try and pop down a few wards, get more global presence right now from ESC's perspective. Brokey taking the blue buff. And Twisted Fate is just going to be pushing mid once again. Have to feel maybe the next point of contention may very well be Baron here, Stress.
Yeah, and I'm a little bit confused. Twisted Fate's gone for a Rabadon's Death Cap instead of completing his Zhonya's. I mean, that's not the worst choice in the world. It's going to give him a lot more damage on his wild cards, but it really mitigates, any kind of protection he can have in a team fight. He did survive very well in the last team fight, whereas Cook My Sock went in and actually ended up on the was caught out by the Strangle Thorns from Zyra and ended up paying for his life very quickly in that fight. But if they catch on towards Demon, I'm pretty sure he would prefer to have a Zhonya's Hourglass than a Rabadon's Death Cap. And it looks like ESC are the ones that want to take the Baron.
Yeah, Ari's going to be pushing bot. Will she go and teleport in? She does have teleport up here. Looks like they're quite content to let Baron drop. In fact, here we go. Teleport comes in. The Chain of Corruption as well, alongside the Death Charge, back on towards Chewed Up. They do pick up the Baron here, courtesy of Cook My Sock. He's having a blinder of the game. Zyra goes down as well. Varus picks up the double kill. This is looking like the final curtain is coming down from ESC, as that is a clean sweep ace. And look at the HP on British Tea Time. Barely a scratch. Unbelievably clinical team fight there from British Tea Time.
Yeah, and Cook My Sock picked up the Baron. It's not that often that you see it not be a jungler stealing that Baron, but fantastic take on that Baron, and British Tea Time now have themselves a commanding position with this inhibitor down. There's only about 7 seconds on Zyra, and Caruso's going to be up soon. Not all that much of a minion wave, but it has finally reached those Nexus turrets, but the Nexus turrets are dropping very quickly. This will be game 1 going to British Tea Time.
Emphatic victory. There was a 5 to 10 minute lull there. Actually, Ari is going to be going down, but never mind. It wasn't actually Ari, it was Zyra, my apologies. But either way, they will be taking down the Nexus. Emphatic victory, as I said, there's about a 5-minute window there where I think ESC was starting to regain a bit of confidence. Alongside you, I was very surprised that Twisted Fate didn't pick up the Zhonya's Hourglass. Not that it would have made a great deal of difference in that team fight. It was a 5-for-0 exchange after all, and a Baron steal. But it shows that D-Man's very confident in his own ability and his positioning, that he doesn't feel like he's going to get caught very often. So I guess that kind of factors into it. But either way, ladies and gents, that's going to be game one wrapped up in this best of three. We have more action to follow here, but we'll be right back after this very short break.